Welcome back. This is Tim Harris. I'm here with our very special guest, James Buckley, and we're here for the world's greatest agent interview. And I've been looking forward to having James on the podcast. And if you're listening to us, you can also watch us on YouTube because James is one of those agents that when you meet him, you just know the sky's the limit. And when you guys get to know him and listen to how he articulates himself, and the best thing about James is he's an absolute learning and implementing sponge, not just learning. Learning is one thing, okay, but actually implementing what you learn. That's really what hopefully you guys will all take from getting to know Mr. Buckley. So James, welcome to the interview today. Thank you for joining us.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So let's just jump right in. Where do you sell real estate? What's your, just give them some, the basics and how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, I'm in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Montgomery County and other Maryland suburbs of DC, DC itself, and Northern Virginia, Arlington, Fairfax, etc. And to get in contact with me, 202-410-0672.
Great. So what did you do? So how long have you been in real estate? And what did you do prior to selling real estate?
I grew up with my dad as a real estate agent, and so it's second nature to me. It's not something that I've got to do to learn on the fly because it's just default. I got licensed first in 2007, and I've got pretty broad experience in commercial mortgage brokerage, condo conversions, and development, and commercial property management, residential property management. I think most of all, I love helping people on their journey, buying and selling homes because it's such a critical point in their lives, and to be there for them at that time and to make such a difference and protect them and help them get the best is incredibly rewarding.
So your dad was only a real estate agent? That was his career? Is his career?
Yeah. Before that, he did marina management, but for many, many years, residential real estate.
So what did you growing up as my dad was an entrepreneur too. And so I can relate to growing up like that. And now that I've been in the real estate industry for 3 decades, there are definitely some ups and some downs emotionally and financially. So what did you learn growing up in a family where your dad was a residential real estate agent and all the different things that happened during his career? Like, what are the biggest lessons that you learned?
It can be an emotional roller coaster, high highs and low lows, and the 2008 crash. There was a period of months without income, and so going into real estate, I was prepared already for understanding that income and business ebbs and flows, and to just be ready for that, and that's part of the deal.
That's a good answer. And so one of the things that I remember you saying when we originally started speaking was that you wanted a pathway forward that was going to give you alternative sources of income other than just selling houses. And I'm now realizing that that's probably because you were kind of remembering the hardships of growing up where some of the low lows were extra low. I remember sometimes when again, similar backgrounds, but where like there was no money and it happened to be Christmas. And so guess what you're getting for Christmas? Nothing,
Yeah, a nice big hug, which is great.
Yeah. No, there was a couple of years where all we got was underwear.
Yeah, underwear and socks.
Yeah, it was, okay, right. So
a combination of that, and I hustle and I work really hard, and at the end of the week I am exhausted, and I know I can do that now, but I can't do that forever. And I see so many agents that get to a point in their lives where they think they can do that forever, and then they can't, and they don't have that passive income built up. And so that's why eXp Realty and the opportunities that it presents are so meaningful to me.
So you are by nature a more analytical person, and analytical people have a tendency to be procrastinators. You're not a procrastinator. And matter of fact, I was thinking about writing another book, Julie and I, and the book was going to be called Always Take the Stairs. In other words, basically, even if there's an easy path, always go the hard path because you benefit more from it. And you innately know that, right? So you started with eXp Realty and you didn't ask me about any shortcuts. You wanted to build revenue share. You wanted to have consistent sources of income in addition to selling real estate.
Right.
And you are definitely walking the stairs and getting tremendous results. from your agent recruiting. So one of the things I've noticed that you've really done well with is sponsoring brokerages, because you were a broker too.
That's
And
right.
sponsoring small to medium-sized teams and brokerages. So I'm curious, for the sake of all of our listeners, because this is going to be listened to by thousands of folks, what is it that you've learned from speaking directly and seeing the spreadsheets and having these and sometimes very intimate conversations with these, teams and brokers? What are the types of lessons that you're learning that you think that had you known, like that are really, I think, maybe changing your life? In other words, opening your mind to really the ebbs and the flows of real estate on a grander scale.
There's perception and then there's the reality. And I think especially for real estate agents who want the perception of being profitable, but there's this duality between, the smile on your face and what you're actually bringing home and how much free time you have to enjoy it. And with a lot of brokerages, there's a lot of prestige and certainly a lot of experience that goes into, being a broker owner. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really put food on the table, and it certainly doesn't create passive income. And so it has been eye-opening. My brokerage was small, and so I didn't have big brokerage problems. But a lot of brokers, even though there's this perception that they are the broker and they've got this big business, and they should get credit for that. But the model has changed for brokerages, the business model, such that it's really hard to be profitable and it's really hard to thrive. And so in a lot of these intimate conversations, it's clear that it's really hard for brokerages, and EXP Realty helps them to become more profitable, to get that time back, to shed the liability. And the liability is so real because so many brokerages, they have so many agents that are only doing 1 or 2 transactions a year. And those are scary agents to have because they're going to get you in trouble.
That's right. Well, it's not just, you're getting your time back, but you're getting, improved financial, everything basically improves really. But as far as it's important that brokers and teams understand that there's a difference between, like, a lot of people are on the fence about moving over to EXP. Well, I'd say not a lot, but some are on the fence because they do feel a little bit of ego pain from feeling like they're losing something that they already have. Yeah. I know you felt like that a little bit too. And then when we explain to them that they actually can keep their brand and that's just brokered by EXP Realty, because EXP Realty is not a franchise. EXP Realty is basically, like I like to call, it's an operating system for your brokerage, where you get to offshore a lot of those expenses and a lot of those liabilities to EXP Realty, and that makes a huge difference in people's lives. But here's really, I think this will be helpful to somebody. So long as it's helpful to one person, I want to say it. So years ago, not that many years ago, but I would say probably at this point, maybe 10, maybe 15 years ago, brokerages and teams actually could produce a great profit, even on the buyer side of the transaction for the owners. And why was the difference then? Well, for one, there weren't so many sources of leads that the agents were demanding that you spend money on. And of course, comes with the leads, you're going to have a lot of other expenses associated with that too, from CRMs to people, just all the expenses. Not cheap. Oh, and guess what? Your agents want more of a commission split because the 10 other teams down the road are offering them a ridiculous commission split. And then all of a sudden, commission compression. Well, sale prices went up and it helped to level off a lot of that. But now you're seeing these expenses are continuing to increase, more downward commission pressure, especially on the buyer side. And so a lot of these brilliant business people who are A-level players are now trying to chase what amounts to a C-level opportunity, and they're frustrated, and I think they're the problem. And let me say it's a different way. A-level players have to chase A-level opportunities, or they're really feeling frustrated, and there's a disconnect. So if you put an A-level player that's trying to attract a B or C opportunity, they're going to be saying, why is this? They're going to question themselves. And that's when you and I mean, we talked to quite a few of these brokers. I get that sense. They're like being able to question themselves. They're thinking, well, maybe I'm just not good enough. They don't say it, but you can kind of feel it. Yeah. And so here's the relief valve, dear viewer or dear listener. You're not the problem. Okay. The business opportunity just needs to change. In other words, you are an A-level player. You just need an A-level opportunity. Stop wasting your time on a C-level opportunity. And a lot of these brokerages and these teams will never be profitable. And so when we see some of these spreadsheets, what we typically see, so a broker will send over a spreadsheet, And what we'll see, we always split it. Like, well, this is a buyer side of the expense and the revenue and the profit, and this is the seller side. And then what we'll see every single time is the listing side of the business. What would have been the profit for the owner or the team owner or whatever it is, broker, that a lot of that profit has been essentially siphoned off just to keep the buyer side operational. And let's say you have 10 buyer agents or 10 agents, two of them are doing all the transactions, but you're still providing enough leads, not just for 10 people, but probably for 20 people. And still, yet, of course, the lead quality is not good enough, all these things. And so you're now finding yourself essentially running an adult daycare, worrying that, thinking in the back of your head, well, what am I going to, this doesn't make sense. I'm not making any profit. And this is where the spiral starts to happen emotionally and then financially.
And I
So
hate those people because, they start to, like you said, doubt themselves. But it's really challenging to run a brokerage and keep the doors open. Forget being profitable. Like those people are incredibly talented that are just keeping the lights on, even if you're not profitable. And those people are incredibly talented, and all they need is to change the environment a little bit, tweak some things, join eXp Realty, and all of a sudden, these A-level people are going to have the A-level opportunity that matches them, and they take off.
yeah, that's where you can feel it. So when we're on these Zooms, James and I and a lot of other folks, obviously, and we're talking to these brokerages, when they finally move past the sort of the disconnect with, oh, I don't want to be perceived as failing. It used to be called Bob Smith Real Estate, and now it's gonna be it's gonna be EXP. No, it's not. It's gonna be Bob Smith Real Estate, brokered by EXP Realty. So Bob, you're fine. You're keep your brand, right? And sometimes you'll have these brokerages that are generational brokerages. You inherited from your dad and your grandpa and the rest of it. You're good. What you're doing and what they would want you to do is you're just shifting the model. You're evolving the model. You're going to the next step professionally. And what are you doing? It's called recasting your expenses. James touched on that. So if your E&O, not that expensive, but it's an expense, that E&O is covered by EXP. All the other expenses that you're thinking about, lead generation, CRMs, all the stuff, all the things that your credit card's getting sapped for every single month, those are now on EXP side of the ledger. But what is difficult to really truly understand is the psychological benefit from offshoring those expenses and finally being in alignment with an opportunity that's worthy of your skill set. That's really, and he's right. I mean, it's funny you said it that way. If you're a brokerage and you've been able to keep the lights on the last 3 years, you are a badass and you
That's
are a
impressive.
good player. It's true though. That's so true. I mean, especially with a team. If you've made it for the
It's like
last,
trying to run a marathon with like a sack of potatoes attached to you. It's going to be pretty darn hard. And so if you're getting to the end of that marathon, even if you're bloody and exhausted, that's impressive. But take that sack of potatoes off or a sack of sand or whatever, and the equivalent is joining eXp Realty. Man, you're gonna be lightning fast.
yeah. And what do you think? I agree. You've talked to obviously a lot of folks that have moved over, and what are the biggest ahas that they have once they've been at EXP for 90 days or 6 months, especially some of these medium-sized brokers. Like when you stay, I know you do a great job staying in contact with them. So when you're talking with them, helping them, scale up agent attraction, all the rest of it. What kind of conversations have you had, the before and the after, so these guys can relate to what it feels like to be having made the decision?
I mean, the before sometimes they're like, it seems too good to be true. They're having trouble realizing that, oh my goodness, life could be so much easier for me because they're so stuck in that mind frame of, oh, life is hard, this is hard, and they don't realize that it doesn't have to be. And then when they join eXp Realty, like they have this weight lifted off of them, the liability, and just being able to finally get into gear and have all the resources and not go home at night with the weight of the world on their shoulders. And so it's a combination of uh, eyes being opened to even more growth and possibility, but also that light feeling that you get when you lift a burden. And it's really rewarding. I mean, being at eXp Realty is fantastic for a lot of reasons. It's profitable, but also being able to impact people's lives, to remove that burden, and to show them again that they're awesome, that they are A-level players. They just need the A-level opportunity.
Yep, and they really blossom. Those are the calls I love, honestly, or the texts. I get a lot of texts. And well, you ask a broker, why is it you wanted to be a broker? And they always say the same thing. Why'd you want to get in real estate? It's a similar question. But brokers, they're a special breed. Team leaders, special breed. So what they'll say is, I want to help people. And they'll say that, but the successful ones truly mean it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be successful.
Mhm.
So they're in alignment with their highest and truest purpose, which is being of service to other people. Everybody innately knows that, whether you've ever verbalized it or not, but that is the truth. So when you say, listen to what James just said. So when you move over to EXP, you get to be back in alignment with your highest and truest purpose. So you can spend all your time doing what you truly love, which is developing people. And those people are going to be your real estate brokerage, your real estate team. And frankly, maybe you want to spend some more time with your family. That's the point, is you're getting back your time and you're getting into realignment. You're realigning with, who you truly are, which is an A player, and getting rid of all of the liability, the time liability, the financial liability, the emotional liability, that goes with being a broker. When those agents have contract questions, you know what? They call the broker. And if you just have set it up so you don't want those calls anymore, team leaders and brokers, they call the state broker. All the state brokers for EXP work for EXP. They're not independent. This is not a franchise. They're employees. You can get help pretty much anytime you want it, and your agents can as well. So you're not going to get those nights and weekends calls anymore, which means you can literally spend all your time doing what you wanted to do in the first place when you got into real estate. I mean, that's what I sense when I talk to a lot of these. And then, of course, there's revenue share. But, we should talk about this too. We talked about this with the broker you had us on the phone with yesterday.
Mhm.
Uh, like, explain to these guys how, even, when they move their groups over to EXP, and this guy had 15 agents, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
15.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's still going to be able to make commission splits off those agents, just as if they're still working for him under his shingles. Can you explain to the listeners how that works?
Yeah, so at eXp Realty, there's a revenue share group. And so those agents that are under you in the revenue share group, you get part of the company dollar. But in the team environment where you're providing services and coaching and mentoring and leads and whatever else you want to provide, you're also getting a team split. And so when a brokerage moves into eXp Realty, their agents are getting more support, and the broker is still getting both the company dollar revenue share, but also a team split. So they're still earning money, but the upside is also so much larger because the way the revenue share, self grows by itself.
So when one of your agents earns $10,000, just to keep the math easy, you're going to charge, EXP is going to, charge the percent towards their cap. You're going to make the same, in some cases more money off that agent's commission split. So the guy with 15 agencies is going to bring over. So those agents sell something, he's going to make the same percent. But here's the thing. He's going to be able to get rid of all kinds of expenses like we previously discussed, including lead generation. In a lot of cases, EXP's platforms are going to be able to provide more leads to his agents. So that's an enormous financial and emotional burden he's not going to be able to, he won't have to juggle anymore. In addition to that, per Mr. Buckley's words, is he's going to make money off revenue share. So when those agents sell something, you're going to get a split of what they sell, just like you do now, but then you're also going to get revenue share because they're going to be in your revenue share group. So you're getting paid twice. Oh, I'm not done yet. So because you sponsored them, because they're in your group on your front line, when they sell their first house every year, you get, when they sell their first house EXP, you get free equity, you get EXPI stock. And it just duplicates and compounds from there. So every transaction that your brokerage does, the agents in your team do, that creates more sources of income. Oh, you still have mortgage and title? That you're making money off mortgage and title? That's fine. Keep doing it.
And what's
Did you?
funny is the mortgage and title is what's keeping the lights on, barely. And so
Yep.
when you shed all the expenses and then you keep the good part, the mortgage and title, and you're on EXP's platform and you're getting revenue share and stock awards and those splits, it's just gravy on top of gravy. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's not been a single example, a single spreadsheet that we've gone through. I can't remember the last time when it wasn't an absolute home run for the broker or the team to move over. So financially, if you're willing to have just a facts-based conversation, you need to seriously be looking at upgrading your experience to EXP. But we talked about, now let's talk about the individual agent. Let's
Yeah.
say it's a new agent getting into EXP. Why would a new agent want to join a cloud brokerage? James, I thought there was going to be such a big advantage to joining Bob and Betty's brokerage down the way. They've been there since 1953. wouldn't I be able to walk into the office anytime I want and just basically soak in all the knowledge after all their brick and mortar? You guys are virtual. Why wouldn't I want to start there and maybe move over to EXP?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of eXp Realty is the model works for both the 30-person brokerage, the 60-person brokerage, 2,000, et cetera, and all the way down to someone who's just a solo agent or just getting in the business, because there's tremendous amount of support, and the resources are on a platform that allows it to be scaled. So EXP can invest in new agents and invest in agents that need a little bit of boost to get the production up so that they can start that cycle of grow, reinvest in themselves, grow, reinvest in themselves, and get to that point where they've got a team, get to that point where they've got a huge revenue share group. So it's perfect for everyone, big or small, and especially the small people that are just starting out. Tons and tons of resources, and there's such collaboration at eXp Realty. It's built into the DNA of the company, not just words. It's literally built into the incentives of everybody to help everybody. And so if you're just starting out or you just have a modest level of production, you're rubbing elbows with people and getting help from people that have big teams, and you're able to leverage that interaction with them in a way that's just not replicatable at other places.
Well, exactly. But when new agents in particular get assigned a local mentor. So you're going to have a local mentor that's going to help you with your first 3 transactions. So Bob and Betty, same thing they're doing. We've got somebody that's going to be in your local market that's in production that's going to help you do the same thing. But when you're sponsored by James or anybody in our group, you're also going to get our premier coaching program for free, which normally costs $200 a month. So if you want to, if you're ready to move over or move up to EXP, and you want to be in a coaching program that's award winning, and you receive a daily coaching call, a daily semi-private coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches, well, there you go. And so it doesn't matter whether, like I had a call with a broker in Miami and he has 100 agents, right? And he's looking to his core group of 25 are doing all the production. So he wants to move those 25 over. He's looking at different options. EXP was one of them. And I said, and he isn't somebody that likes the training. He doesn't like doing it at all. So I told him about, well, we'll take it over. And that was all it took. So, all of his agents are going to get daily coaching and a complete proven system. And that's one less thing he has to now do. And I imagine he's going to spend a lot more time on his boat. That was what it sounded like to me.
And
Yeah.
for new agents, in some cases, they feel like at other brokerages, they feel like that if they're not on a team, they're not getting that coaching, training, and support and collaboration. But at eXp Realty, you don't have to pay a split to a team, and you can still get access to that amazing coaching and training and support that you have been paying a split to at another brokerage. So the model is it's awesome for newer agents or even agents that kind of need a kickstart to their career.
Yeah, I agree. And whether a team is a good fit or not a good fit for you as a new agent, generally speaking, start out as an individual agent and then learn how to lead generate. And once you learn how to lead generate, then probably you'll never consider joining another team. You won't go down that path, because most agents join teams out of fear of the unknown, and the fear of the unknown is how to lead generate. Because everything else, like the sales skills and whatnot, you're going to learn that from our coaching program, and you're going to learn that from just being on the job. But really, it's lead generation. And lead generation is not some sort of secret black box you have to have the code to. There's some proven paths to do it. And to James's point, you can learn those, certainly, and you can do them yourself. Now, if you are, again, if you're not somebody that's that ambitious or entrepreneurial, and you're just looking for a little bit more of a very specific, role in an organization, then maybe a team's a good fit for you. But a lot of people got into real estate because they want to control their own destiny and have more control of their time and their ability to earn income. Those are the ones that, generally speaking, won't be a good fit for teams. But, they're all good. We don't say good or bad about, either one, whichever path makes the most sense to you. Yeah, that's great. So what are you thinking as we're going back and forth? You seem to have a thought in your mind. I know you well enough to know that you have something
Yeah,
to
you do. So insightful. I was thinking about something you said earlier about taking the stairs versus taking the elevator, and taking the path that seems like more work, but at the end of the day, you're better off because of it. I think real estate is so much like that. There's so many people that try to take the shortcut, but in the analogy of the elevator and the stairs, you get onto that elevator and you think it's great, but you're not paying attention because you're kind of absent-minded because you're taking a shortcut and you get on the elevator and you stop at, the 10th floor, the second floor, and you're going all up and down. And the person who took the stairs is getting there quicker, and they got more exercise, and it's a better. And I think real estate is like that,
I mean,
because
getting there slower, right? I mean, Julie and I just did a whole bunch of traveling, and our daughter, she's almost 11. You've got a kid that's that age, and having she obviously wants to ride the moving sidewalk and the this and the other thing because it's like going to the fair for her, and she does not understand why mom and dad want to walk, and she always but she's getting it.
Mhm.
Because what we're trying to explain to her is we're trying to explain that if you condition yourself to do the hard work, to always take the stairs, that means when you really come across something that's going to stymie most people, that's a really big challenge, you already have built up the calluses to know that you can do it. You obviously have done that, or you wouldn't be kicking so much butt with sponsoring agents. So I am curious about that. Where did that come from? Because I said this at the beginning, and it's true. You're a learner, but you're an implementer. And for someone who's analytical that can implement as fast as you can, that's truly different. So where does that come from?
A lot of it is that the EXP model aligns with my values. I hate wasting money. I hate inefficiency. And EXP is the perfect place for an efficient real estate business. And I hate gatekeepers, and I hate models that keep hardworking entrepreneurial people down and benefit, kind of a legacy class. And EXP Realty has both of those things. It's incredibly efficient. They're not wasting the commission dollars that I'm giving to them. And the other thing is they allow me to grow. And there's a direct correlation between how hard I work, which is why I love working so hard to build revenue share and do the things that I do at EXP Realty. There's a direct correlation between how hard I work and what I achieve. And that doesn't exist at any other brokerage. And before I joined EXP Realty, I had my own brokerage, not because I thought having your own brokerage is the coolest thing to do, but because I didn't think that any other brokerage had earned the right to my money. But EXP Realty is the only place that does. And it's the only place that I've seen where I can work hard and there's that direct correlation so that I can grow. And they've removed all the roadblocks and the bureaucracy and the nonsense. And it's just pure opportunity.
Are you familiar with the term meritocracy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what you're describing.
Yeah.
Basically, meritocracy, listeners, is basically where you have, your a society built on merit, right? And that is true because there is no such thing as being. Let's just focus on revenue share for a second. Well, we'll focus on real estate sales. In a market like what we're experiencing right now, even if you're a new upstart agent, you can absolutely disrupt even the toughest, most, the toughest markets with the most established agents in those markets can easily be disrupted during any times of change like we're experiencing now. It's actually easier now to make money and to build success than it is when essentially everybody's making money. Everyone does well when the market conditions favor everyone, but only the true, frankly, entrepreneurs and the people that are willing to work do well in a market like this. And a market like this is what crowns the new kings and the new queens across the country in their, real estate markets. And so don't think like if, Julie and I moved from a normal sale price area when we were selling real estate to a really expensive market. And we did it when there was a little bit of market disruption from various reasons. And we were able to pick up a lot of expired listings. And who are the expired listings? Who are they previously listed with? The established blue blood agents that we, during great times where everything was selling, we never would have had a shot at those listings. But when they fail, we are there to basically get those houses sold. And then we started picking up market share in that particular market, which we had no right being successful in, right? So the same thing, that's called meritocracy. So we were able to go out there, leverage an opportunity and work our butts off, and we got paid for it. Now at EXP, the thing that's fascinating is that it creates so many different pathways to build wealth. You will make more money selling real estate. You're surrounded by some of the most productive, most successful agents in the country, let alone the world. EXP is in 24 different countries. But in addition to that, EXP creates, like James will relate to this. You're a young man, but I mean, you've been on enough of these Zooms that you'll understand a lot of people that are my age and older who've worked their asses off and been up and down, up and down, up and down. They really have no net worth. They have nothing to show for it. And they're now realizing as we're in another one of these really challenging markets, they're asking themselves, well, do not want to go through this again. Or do I have what it takes to go through this again? All these types you can just sense those emotions when you're talking with folks. And then you show them the path forward through revenue share. Well, this is how you do it. This is how it works. This means in, 24 months, 36 months, 60 months, where you could be in terms of passive income. And so you can keep on selling real estate and you'll do great. You've proven your ability to, but now you add into that the opportunity for you to build revenue share. You now have alternative paths forward. You don't have to just stay on the selling real estate routine, because I get it, you're tired of it, but now you can actually create revenue share. So if you ever choose to take that off ramp, maybe not permanently, but you could take that off ramp. You've created an option. And what are the traditional ways of doing that? Selling or buying rental properties. Well, that's really damn hard to do nowadays.
And it gets harder and harder every year.
It sure does. I mean, the cap rates on things are terrible.
Especially in this higher interest rate environment.
Yeah, I mean, you normally buy rental property from the appreciation, depreciation, and the cash flow. But when someone presents something to you and they're essentially trying to sell it to you off the hypothetical appreciation, that's a terrible investment. It just is, But so it's revenue share. And revenue share is once you get it, once that light goes off in your head, as an individual age. Well, I remember when it did with you. You thought about it overnight. And you talked to your wife. I remember.
They call it EXP fever. And this is what it is. We talked about that feeling of struggle being lifted from you, because you realize you don't have to struggle anymore. And you're an A player, you just need that A opportunity. And that's what EXP is. And so, that EXP fever is really you just realizing that, hey, you can shed this crappy situation. You can join EXP Realty. You've got a really bright future because you're a hard worker, you're smart, and there's a direct correlation between how much effort you put in and your success. And so for me, I mean, it was just it's the meritocracy that I was looking for. And I spoke to my wife, because I make all decisions with my wife, and she was hesitant at first. She said, what are you doing? You worked so hard for this brokerage. And I said, yeah, the brokerage is great. You know what I want? I want to make money. I want to have passive income so I can spend more time with my family. And I don't want to spin my wheels. And that's the opportunity that EXP Realty is. And she's an accountant. And so she went to the financial statements and she looked them up and she analyzed them and she said, yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm good with this. And that was it. And I think I did the application the next day and I never looked back.
Yeah, she sounds like a good one for sure. That's a keeper.
100%.
Especially since she knows how to look at financial statements. Isn't she in that business too, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, she's a CPA.
There you go.
And has looked at many a financial statement, knows, where people typically hide the skeletons in the footnotes. And
oh, she looked at EXP's financial statements.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I did the same thing. Julie and I did the same thing in 2019. Actually, I hired a CFO, a retired CFO from a huge company that I knew, to look over it. And I offered to pay him $5,000 to look over it. He was a friend of mine, but his time's valuable. And then he asked what the company was. And then it wasn't maybe 2 hours later, he said he glanced over, he saw the people that audited their books and knew different people. And he said, Tim, you don't need to pay me anything. This is good.
Yeah.
But isn't that amazing? I mean, EXP has no debt. It's publicly traded. It's profitable.
It's not like these other brokerages that are either like upstart house of cards or legacy companies that are just being dragged down by a business model that is outdated and doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many, my heart goes out to those brokers and those teams out there that are trying to make these, obsolete business models work. They just got to be really clear in their heads that they're not obsolete. The business model that they're trying to get to work is obsolete because the conditions have changed. So what? Adapt to a new business model, and you're going to go back to being, an absolute ass kicker. I mean, that's just the way the world works. And I've seen that happen with so many of these, especially teams and brokers and even individual agents. They just find that spark again. They realize their future isn't tied to a really obsolete business model. They realize that their future isn't tied to who the president is, what the interest rates are, what the blah, 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 because they're very excited again.
When people feel like they have control over their lives, and it doesn't matter what age they are, whether they're 20 or 70, when people have control over their lives and their destiny, they're happy people. It changes their relationships with their family and their friends, and just walking around, they have a smile on their face. And the opportunity at EXP Realty, and it's the American dream. You work hard and you put the effort in, and you get paid for it. That's the meritocracy dream, and it's alive and well at EXP Realty. And that's why it's such an awesome place.
What have been the biggest challenges to build the group and building the group you're building in EXP? And what's been the biggest headwind? Because I know you're actually amazingly efficient at generating leads and presenting and all the rest of it. But what have been the challenges?
The biggest challenge is that uh, I I'm impatient, which can be good, but I want it all now. I want to get to 100% now. But it's like taking the stairs. You got to do the work, and I'm doing the work and growing, and it's been awesome. The promise is 100% being fulfilled. But because I love it so much, it's like my son. He loves Legos, and he starts this Lego project, and he wants to be at the end, and he's getting there slowly but surely. But sometimes he gets frustrated as he's trying to grow it. But so I don't know. The challenge is that I love it so much. I want it to grow fast. I want it to grow even faster. So I've got to balance that urgency with just enjoying the ride.
It's waiting for the damn compounding effect to actually start compounding.
Yeah, well, it's like when you're building a giant snowman. Like it's hard getting it to start rolling down that hill, but soon enough, all of your efforts just take hold, and it starts to become something really special.
What's fun is having conversations with folks in their journey EXP. It doesn't matter where they are in the financial wealth building spectrum, and you ask them what their monthly overhead is, and they'll tell you, and sometimes they usually know, and they'll tell you what the number is. And then what you do is you do it backwards. So let's say it's 15,000 a month or whatever. They're living we have had people that have 75,000 a month if they live in really expensive areas. Doesn't matter. So you write down the number, and then you do it backwards to figure out how many agents they'd have to have in their revenue share group, and then benchmark it against, and I've got AI that's doing all this arithmetic for me now. I've loaded it in, and my little AI thing through Chat GPT does it for me based on averages. So I can tell you based on averages, and we can even choose, even not even an average. We just choose the low number with how long it'll take with you recruiting this many people, this many people, this many people, right? I only want to recruit one person a month. Fine. I want to recruit one person a week. Fine. I want to recruit 6 people a year. Let's work it out. Let's create the plan. And then, we figure out all the other little nuanced differences, and we can figure out, it's not a guarantee, obviously, but based on averages, how long it's going to take for that money, your monthly financial requirements to be covered by revenue share. And creating a path for people like that, I love having calls like that, because it makes them, again, you can see in their eyes, they have the sense, their alignment with having a sense of freedom. Because, so let's say, for example, your monthly overhead is 20,000, and let's say you're making easily 20,000 passively from revenue share. Do you stop selling real estate? You should not stop selling real estate. That would be dumb. What should you do with the EXP revenue share? You should invest that money. Where you should invest that money? I'm not a financial advisor, but I'll tell you what I tell everybody. S&P 500. Why the S&P 500? Because it's going to double on average 7 to 10 years. And that means if you don't spend the money, and you invest that money, now you're earning money passively through revenue share. That money your group is getting bigger, hopefully every month. That money that you're getting for revenue share is being invested in something that's also compounding. So you have multiple compounding effects that are working for you. And if you just basically be patient and you wait 2 or 3 years, you're going to be a multi-millionaire if you just stuck to the plan. The hard part, and this is true with anything, is doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And that sucks. It just does. Like prospecting, right? Like lead generating, like going to the gym, like doing kettlebells, like all the things. Doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. Taking the stairs when everyone else is taking the escalator.
Tim, the hardest part is when you don't see the meritocracy. Doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level is impossible when you don't feel like there is a direct connection between that hard work and the payoff. And EXP, like we talked about ad nauseum, there is that meritocracy. And it makes it so much easier to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level, because it's going to pay off.
Well, it's what Charlie Munger said. He said, if you want to know what the results are, look to what the incentive structures are. So if the incentive structures are lined up, and you said this too, that's the weird, bizarre thing that you experienced at EXP. Julie and I coached, we sold real estate. and we worked in different brokerages. We've just all these things. And then I have never experienced outside of EXP where there truly is an alignment with people helping each other. And it's almost to the point where it doesn't make sense. The people like in competing, that we will be competing in the same market, the more successful one will bring up the other one, even if it means they might lose business to it, because it's not a team spirit, or it's not all these other woo-woo terms.
Yeah.
It's because there's financial alignment. It's nothing manipulative. It's financial alignment.
And what
Because
I love is it's all the way to the top. It's
yep,
every run, it's every level, it's all the way to the top. And just like you help me out and Dan helps me out, all the way even to Leo, the CEO, he's
well,
helped
yesterday,
like
talk
yes,
about that. Yeah.
yeah. So we were talking with a couple the meeting we were in with the brokerage. Leo popped in to help out and said, "Hey, this is my experience. This is why it's great," and answered a couple questions. And then even after that, he was helping us out in another meeting, helping people see the light, helping them see that they don't have to waste their money and efforts and life energy at a broken model. And the way he describes it is, hey, look, James is a partner, Tim is a partner, and every agent is a partner. A, because most of them are shareholders of the company, and B, because that's the model. It's a flat organization. There isn't this nonsense bureaucracy, and so like it's literally built into the incentive of everybody at the company to collaborate, and then because it's the incentive structure, it becomes the culture.
Yeah, it truly is. And I don't know, it's the best business. It's probably the top 3 business decisions Julie and I ever made. It's up there. And again, I just hope people don't like, there are no comparables. There's nobody else that's doing what EXP does as far as the opportunity for revenue share. People will say, well, what about Keller Williams? Keller Williams profit share. You and I heard that how many times yesterday?
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. They're profit sharing if there's any profit left to share. Revenue shares the other end. So revenue share, when the money comes in, you're getting a portion of that. Profit, if there's anything left over, you're getting a portion of that. Not saying anything about Keller Williams. Julie and I have a lot of dear friends that are over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the point. There are no comparables. Oh, we're an online virtual brokerage. That's awesome. Good for you. Do you have revenue share? No. Or
Yeah.
yeah, so there's no comparison.
That's right. Or if they do have revenue share and they're trying to do it exactly like EXP Realty, they just can't because the window has passed and they're using venture capital money, and they have lots of debt. And so EXP is just unique. No one can compete. No one can copy it. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're all very, very fortunate. And I really encourage all of you that are listening, that are motivated, to get in contact with James, obviously. And James, what's your phone number again?
202-410-0672. Again, it's 202-410-0672. Please text instead of calling, because that's the best way for me to get back to you and help you out so that you don't have to waste commission dollars, so that you get better support, better coaching, better training, and all the rest of it.
And James is in our group. So when you are sponsored by James, you're also sponsored by Dan and Carrie Shaw. You're also sponsored by Julie and I. So do consider basically reaching out to James. And I mean this as a sincere compliment. But I've said this before. So I have been in the coaching and training space and have done hundreds of thousands of coaching calls. And I have to say, by default, I'm probably a pretty good judge of somebody's character when it comes to whether or not they're actually going to be successful. And you never, never, never judge by somebody by what they say, because everybody blah, blah, blah. You judge them by what they do, and you do shit. That's the thing that always impresses me about you. And that's the reason I'm a 100% sure you're going to be incredibly successful at this and everything else you do, because you don't spend a lot of time talking about it. You're like, okay, I've heard enough. I learned enough. I'm going to go implement it. And then you go implement it. Then you get success with it. And then you're saying, okay, well, these are the challenges. What do I do? And then you go implement it. That's a very rare person. So if you want to be successful in real estate and be aligned with someone who's obviously very successful in real estate and building revenue share, definitely reach out to James. And your phone number again, sir, is
202-410-0672. Please text. I would love to chat with you, and I want to help you be successful like all the other EXP agents.
And text him. Don't call him. because he's on the phone all the time. That's what he's trying to say. Okay, we're going to put his phone number on the screen there. In the meantime, everyone, hopefully you've gotten a lot out of this. And I'm sorry some of you are going to be turned off because we talked about EXP the whole time. And I get that. And I apologize. But hopefully what you're understanding is, and hopefully what you took away, even if you're not interested in talking with us about EXP Realty, hopefully what you took away was the fact that your best days are still in front of you. You are in the right place at the right time. You wait in the next 6 to 12 months. None of us are going to remember this, the last 3 years, because we're going to be completely operating with a different set of rules with regards to real estate. The interest rates are going to be down. There's more inventory. There's so many people that are on the sidelines that want to buy and sell real estate. The market is going to feel like a boom again. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to be a slow build, but that's absolutely coming to your market. There's no question about it. Just look at the forward-facing numbers that are coming in from all the major home builders and all the rest of it. You're going to see what I'm seeing. So do the smart thing and position yourself for that future success. And if you're not feeling like your tomorrows are going to be better than your todays, let alone your yesterdays, you're going to pretty much lock in that reality for yourself. So if you don't believe, if you aren't optimistic that tomorrow's going to be better than today, what you're doing is you're pessimistic and you're doing things, you're not doing things today that will make it so that tomorrow is better than today. Or put a simpler way, there's never been anything that's amazing. That's been never a book that's been written, never a beautiful piece of music, a beautiful painting, a building that's been built by a pessimist. They're always built by optimists. They're always built by people that see opportunity no matter what everyone else is saying and thinking. And we're in one of those times now. The greatest fortunes of men and women, historically speaking, back to the dawn of humanity, have always been made during the greatest times of change. And we're in one of those greatest times now. So if you feel like you're an A player, if you know you're an A player, have the potential to be an A player, and you want to align yourself with an A player opportunity, I strongly encourage you to reach out to all of us. So James, thank you for being on our interview today. I certainly appreciate you and appreciate time today.
It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you.
God bless. Have a great weekend. Have a great day and reach out anytime.
Cheers.